Okay, so everyone, welcome to Marcia's awesome presentation about Panty and Stocking's art style. So, what's in store for today? What are we going to be talking about? I think we will start with a little analysis of what Panty and Stocking art style entails. We're gonna go through like all the key elements that I think are important for the purposes of recreating it. And when I say recreating, I mean like, you know, drawing your favorite characters from other shows in the style, or drawing your OCs in the style of the show, or even making fan art for Panty and Stocking. I've heard not I've heard I had people requested on YouTube, and I thought this is a really fun idea, and this is a super fun art style to tackle. And even if it's not your usual thing, whether you're doing like digital art or whatever, there are so many tasteful aspects to it that regardless, I just think it's a lot of fun drawing in it, which is why this presentation is a thing. So we're going to discuss what makes the art style. Then I think we're going to go into a little short rundown of character design principles, because I strongly believe that, the art style carries itself through a very specific visual language, the way the line work is executed, and facial features, facial shape, whatnot, colors. But I think what also makes the art style pop is that the characters utilizing it, or characters portrayed within it, are, at least to say, really well designed. And I think it'd be fun and important to touch a little bit on the principles of character design, so that if you're, let's say, taking your OC, right, you can translate it one to one. But I think there will be, and you will notice certain aspects of your characters that could potentially be, exaggerated for the purposes of fitting within this particular art style better. And at the end, I think we'll, if time allows it, because honestly, I hope the lecture will take like an hour, but if time allows it, we will do a drawing demo where I will take a character, a surprise character. I have already picked the character, but a surprise character will join us, and we will do a little demo drawing together, touching and utilizing all the key elements that we have discovered, uncovered, and learned about during this presentation. So, without further ado, let's start. So, let us look closely at our victim, which is the Panty and Stocking art style. I will touch on a few general, let's say, areas on which I would like to focus on, and then during later parts of this presentation, we will go down this list and talk about every single aspect listed here. So when we look at Panty and Stocking, what can we tell? What do we see? First things first, the art style itself is very, very graphic. It's defined by its angularity, the gesture, the line of action within the characters and their poses. There's a clarity to the way their bodies are positioned, structured. This also is echoed in the actual design of the characters. It is noticeably very angular, perhaps more with Panty, which is the blonde character on the left, and with Stocking, who is the goth character. The line work, we'll talk a little about how, what can we gain and glean from official art, because I strongly believe that every single little detail that will be discussed during this presentation will further elevate your potential future designs or artworks. And at the end, as discussed, we will talk about a little bit about character design and shape language. So let us get into the nitty gritty of this particular art style. What when we look the picture you see here is, I believe, I'm not 99%. This comes from the official art book, and I think it will be really informative for the purposes of what we're doing here. So first things first, what can we see from these beautiful sketches of Panty? There are virtually no straight lines within the character. The arms, even the gesture of the body, everything in one way or another is a curve. Um, the curves meet in sharp points. Let me just get a pencil so we can talk about this in more detail. Pen. So if we want to get really specific with this particular art style, because sharp points are sharp points. Sharp points are sharp, duh. But there are many types of sharp points, let's say. So we could have shapes of this kind. We could have this, which is two crescent moons going in the same direction. Or we could have, this is not going to be, this could be done. I know this could be done. There we go. This is a better. So I would say in Panty and Stocking art style, this is the particular angle that is being utilized the most. Two curves going and being conjoined in the same direction. Again, this might seem obvious, but we are pointing out all the building blocks so that later, whenever we come, across a hurdle and we don't know how to interpret a certain pre-existing form, this is a building block that will help us inform our decisions later down the line. Teacher, what are the mathematical names for these curves? Logarithmic, and the other one, I forgot. Exponential. Wait, logarithmic are like these, and exponential. Here we go. Should have paid attention, Pythagoras. I don't believe triangles have much to do with these characters. In any case, okay. Next point on our list: dynamic line work. So obviously, apart from the shapes when it comes to characters being frisky, the line work itself is designed with a very specific ethos in mind, I will say. You get obvious things first. There is a lined way to the picture, but we can see that usually, for example, this leg, it starts off thin, it's thicker in the middle, and then tapers off again. I'm pointing this out because when I was preparing this presentation and looking up, pictures and whatnot, I noticed quite a lot of Panty and Stocking fun arts. And I would never do such a thing where I bring in someone else's art and quote unquote fix it. But what I'm gonna say is I've seen many other artworks forget this particular aspect, which is why I want to bring some attention to it. There is a lot of line variety within this particular art style. Even though it's animated, for example, if we think, oh, I don't want to take this information out of my ass, but I believe if we think about things like American cartoons, so let's say Steven Universe, or even Gravity Falls, or even Rick and Morty, they have very, very uniform art styles, and that is a prevalent thing in animation. But with Party Evolution, stop. But with but with Panty and Stocking art style, even though it's animated, the line weight is varied across limbs and not uniform. So for example, if we take, let's say, her arm, here, instead of having a thin line, we have a line that gets thickest at the tip here. So that is a second situation that is possible or allowed, I could say, within this art style, this angle. So let us have the same with, for example, this foot here. It gets, I shouldn't be trying over this, I guess, for best illustration. But it's, oh no, that's a highlighter. Not a highlighter, a laser pointer, there we go. So yeah. Okay. And while we're here, let us note the proportions of the characters here. So we have, I'm gonna clear out these doodles actually, so we can show more. Okay. So because this is straight from our book, we have this handy dandy scale on the side, so we can easily see that the character's head is roughly a third of the overall body, same with the torso, 1/3. And here's the thing I slightly disagree. I mean, I don't disagree. I know what the author of this picture meant, which is that the leg takes a third and then the foot takes another part. I guess this wouldn't be a third, these wouldn't be thirds, but we are not doing math here, we are artists, and I will take no criticism regarding this. In any case, I would treat the leg in this case as a single object due to the nature of its shape. There really isn't a particular reason for why this element should be treated as two separate components. I believe visually, you're trying to recreate it, this should be treated as a single component, unless for whatever reason you really need to know where the feet start and end. But okay, so roughly speaking, a third for the head, a third for the torso, and a little bit more than a third for the legs. Square thingies, we're gonna talk about this a little bit more. One thing of note that, actually wait, no, the thing I was gonna talk about is later down the line in this presentation. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, so as we mentioned on the previous slide, there are virtually no straight lines within this particular art style, and this applies to the line of action within the character as well. Now, what is a line of action? When we say line of action, for those newer to art or for people that haven't heard this term yet, a line of action is a line that guides the execution of the action within the character that we are portraying. A lot of complicated words for no reason. If you heard of gesture, that is a related concept, but essentially if, I don't know, let us draw a happy character, and let's say they are jumping and they are so happy because something good happened. Or maybe they are skydiving, who's to say? But we have our character. Then let us take a different color. I cannot take a different color. But a line of action for this particular character will be going here. It's pretty easy to know. So if we go back to our previous style, not previous, oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves. And let me clear this so we can draw one more time. This particular page in the art book is for design, illustrating the design of the character, so it's not communicating this exact thought, but it's already in here. The Panty and Stocking art style really likes to push the line of flow. So even when the character is standing here, she is completely stationary. The line of action will go heavily. Do not piss me off, sorry. Pen, okay. The line of action will go heavily to the side and then in the middle. So notice how even though this picture is also from the same art book, there is a little bit of that visual language lost because she's standing perfectly straight. Whereas, in my opinion, to truly encapsulate the spirit of this particular art style, 100%, she should be similar, exactly similar to what we saw on the previous style, the previous slide. She should be more bent. Anyway, so just remember when you're drawing and whatever gesture you're drawing. Actually, remember when you're drawing and you are portraying an action, there will be a line of action within that action, and honestly, it's best that you find it. It creates more dynamic art. It lets you, play with the elements, play with the body language even, and overall makes the scene more aesthetically pleasing and exciting. So, the next thing is that I guess I should point out is that even within the Panty and Stocking art style, there is quite a lot of variety, and that will be more or less a given that it's a really, really, big project. Many artists. We will have the official, let's say, anime renders. Then we will have promotional art. And then we will have even the stills from the show themselves. And all of these, even though they encapsulate different art style, they play around with the elements we've mentioned so far. So for example, let's say the Linework. In the official renders, you can see that there is a line thickness variety, but it's very slight. While if we go to the show itself, there the line variety within the show is really stark. Characters in it tend to have a really, really strong, thick outline. I assume not to disappear against the rather busy background elements in the show itself. But the lines that are, defining the fingers or the clothes are rather thin. So when you're drawing, your fan art or doing whatever you want to do with this particular art style, there is, a variety that you can play with. And let us arrive at the final thing, find the final key element of what makes this art style so good. Because it's graphic, it's important that it's characterized by good design, because there are already very few elements to the characters to play with. If something is, let's say, boring, for the lack of a different word, it's gonna be there isn't a game of, light and shadow within the form to obfuscate that fact. There isn't a composition, let's say, like the character itself is the composition. So you can nail the line work, you can nail the proportions, you can nail the specific eye shape, but there is a chance you will end up with dissatisfied, let's say. This mainly applies to when you're uh, trying to portray, let's say, a different character in this art style or your OC in that art style. There is a chance that even though you did everything right, it will end up looking slightly dissatisfactory because you didn't account for the principles of good character design. So let's quickly go down this brief list. Uh, this by no means encapsulates the entire topic of character design. If you are truly interested in the field, I believe there are many, many, much more informative courses out there than what I will tell you right now. But for the purposes of the demonstration that we will embark on in a second, let us go. Sorry, I looked over at chat. Do not show your C with no fashion sense in this style. Exactly. No, but let us go down the list and explore what makes these characters so pleasant to look at. So one of the most important things, the most important rules, although I'm using this term slightly because I don't believe in rules. I believe in guidelines when it comes to art, because art can be everything and should be everything, and we should be constantly pushing the line rather than keep ourselves in neat boxes. So the first guideline when it comes to character design is the rule of the guideline of big, medium, and small shapes within your design. What do we mean by that? That means that when we're if we're drawing something and we utilize a lot of the same sized elements, our composition, whatever it is, will end up looking boring, repetitive, predictable, jeez. Predictable. But if we have a big shape, small shape, and a medium shape, let's say that these are two separate situations. Our composition, whatever it is, will end up looking more enticing, more dynamic, more interesting. So for example, if we take Panty, this hair, what do we see? I would say her. So for example, if we were to mark, let's say, medium shapes in her design, I would say the French is definitely one. That is one of the mediums. I would say her dress is a medium shape. What else? Can I really not change the color? That would be so good. Ink color, there we go. Yay! Okay. This is changing the game. So, let's say we're gonna make big ones blue. And we're gonna make the small ones green. Oh, this is perfect. So since we are already with the green color loaded in our pen, her bangles are small, her neck jewelry. What else is there? One would say certain mouth features. And that's the thing, even when you have an element, an object within a design, you can break it down further into this rule. So for example, the face itself, or let me the appropriate ink color. So I would say the face itself is actually a medium to small shape as well, right? But even within the face, we will have, and this is relative, this is when talking about the face exclusively. That is not the blue I used previously. This is the blue I used. The eyes are the big shape. And the mouth and nose are the small one. Like there is a, it may seem obvious, but this is the way these things work. Even when we get to the shoes, we can say that, or even the legs as a whole, because I spoke of the legs as a whole. We have the big shape here. And then we have, I would say, the medium shape, the over the shoe as a whole, or even the shoe as a whole, and then the cutout in the shoe or the strap in the shoe could be considered a small shape. Same with, if we were to quickly analyze Stocking, who is the goth character, we will have, obviously, the first thing we see is the beautiful dark hair. That is a humongous shape. Drawing this is making me realize that these two are literally Kiki and Boba. LOL. So anyway, yeah, big shape. That encapsulates the characters. But then we will have things like arguably small or mediums. It doesn't matter how we, call these, but there is a variety within the form here. I actually will say that I think that Miss Kiki over here is a much sounder design than Miss Boba over here. I believe that Miss Boba Stocking does not have nearly enough variety within her outfit, but one could argue that it's on purpose. Let us move to the final step in our little class. When it comes to character design, design of the character should encapsulate what their personality is. These two are perfect examples. Not only are they opposites, as we mentioned a second ago with Kiki and Boba, you can immediately tell that even when having never watched the show, you can tell that Panty is the, let's say, the wild one, right? She has a lot of sharp angles. Her colors are loud. Meanwhile, Miss Boba over here has a lot of heavy, swooping shapes that really, inform you of her inner calm. I wouldn't say calm, but like stillness that would be at clash with her partner or whatever friend, I guess, frenemy. No, wait, a flatmate. They are flatmates, and that perfectly encapsulates their dynamic. Are they friends? Who's to say? They are flatmates, though. Oh, one thing I forgot to touch upon is the distinct silhouette. And that is one of my favorite design principles on the whole, not even when it comes to good character design, but even good illustration making. When you're and this is going to be a general tip, like if you were to take one thing away from this lecture on the whole, even like unrelated to recreating this art style, just remember your silhouettes. I swear to God, remember your silhouettes at all times. When you're drawing, oh, they are sisters! Sorry, I I completely forgot that they are sisters, but you're right. They even go and visit their parents together. How could I forget? Anyway, okay, going back to the silhouettes. Uh okay. So let's say, for the purposes of explaining what I mean when it comes to the clarity of silhouettes, I would say silhouettes are break or make it when it comes to good design. If you can't tell who the character is by silhouette alone, effectively you have failed. I think it's pretty obvious when looking at these two that their silhouettes are completely different, and even if I put like a layer of black all over their colors, you could still tell who's who, because this is Miss Kiki and this is Miss Boba. But even further, when you're posing your characters, so let's say let's go to one of the previous slides. This one. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna to clear it. Their parents appear in the second season. I'm not sure about the first. I haven't actually watched the second season. I was too young back when it came out, and I thought it was disgusting. Frankly, I'm in my late 20s now, and I still am like, okay, about the second season. Race Link, there we go. Okay, so I think I'm gonna change the icon. Let's go with the blue. Okay. So I think this guy here illustrates this particular point perfectly. Let's say I'm drawing a person drinking water, right? So head. Give me. They're drinking water. Water. They're holding their little cup. They're pouring the water all over there. And like I guess you can sort of glean what the character is doing. They are drinking something, bringing something to their mouth. But if I were to completely color this in, you suddenly have no idea what the fuck is going on. And when it comes to gesture and outline quality, regardless of what you're drawing, I will say the silhouette is key. Compare this and well, this one is confusing. With this, we can tell that even though this one is pretty rough, but at least we can tell that someone is bringing something up to their mouth or to their eye, whether it be what's it called, a kaleidoscope or a glass of water. There is a really clean or informative, I should say, silhouette of this picture, this person, compared to this blob. And when you're drawing, whatever you're drawing, you can always create a clear silhouette. I believe it's not always called for and not always necessary, but especially when it comes to animation, because you're going to be looking at frames really quickly and the action may or may not be really snappy, it's really important for your viewer to tell what they're looking at, and having clean or informative silhouettes will really push your design, your gesture, your pose, whatever you're creating, really bring it out and take it to the next level. And it creates a lot more points of interest for the viewer as well. And you can tell all of them practically are doing this in the pictures presented. So for example, she could be standing with her legs joined, but no, they're, spaced out. Same with her hair. This guy is really putting the work in, although I do believe it could be even clearer, but I assume they had to fit in both of those twinks in the same frame. But he is putting in the work with the negative space surrounding his body, because nothing stands in the way of him being oh fuck, I don't know, like this would also create a horrendous tangent, but like if you delete this negative space in the middle here, it's very pronounced and it's very beautiful. A plus negative space right here, but you could easily make the mistake of, or not even a mistake, make the decision to not include it or incorporate it, which would result in a sort of, even perhaps oftentimes more realistic body language. However you would say, that's what makes a graphic art style a graphic art style. You are making conscious choices and decisions to elevate body language, gestures, line of action. I feel like I've been repeating myself, but I feel like this is truly one of the pillars of this particular art style, of how graphic it is. So it's important to keep in mind. And remember, when you're drawing, regardless of what you're drawing, you are the god of your canvas, and you can always make the decisions that will suit the problem to your satisfaction. Okay. So, I think it's time to get to the demo. You might have seen it already because I clicked on it, but I thought it'd be a fun idea to take a character that already exists in popular culture, that has an appealing art style, and see what we can do to turn her, frieren, into reimagine her into a Panty and Stocking character. So let us get to that.